So one of you sent me a screenshot that sent me right down the rabbit hole into corruption from Delphi all the way to the feds. Well, hello, my silky friends. One of you, and I assume you want to remain anonymous, so I'm not going to call you out, but I had a private message from someone that sent me kind of down a rabbit hole. At first, I didn't know what the connection was, but y'all, this is going to make you sick. Okay, so this started with a case in around, 2014, 2015 with the U.S. Olympic gymnast team. If you will remember a guy by the name of Larry Nassar. He was actually a doctor for the Olympic team, and then he started being accused of assault, violation, if you will. And I'm not talking about, 3 or 4 women coming forward. I'm talking about hundreds. I said hundreds of underage girls. This is infuriating. So when these girls reported this going on, the FBI becomes involved. Well, hallelujah, right? Finally, someone is going to put an end to this. That was the worst thing that they could have done. Let's take a look at some news articles and some video, and I'll show you what I mean. Now let's start with this one. This one says FBI fires agent accused of failing to investigate Nassar's allegations. They fired an agent named Michael Langman after the Inspector General released a report. This is in 2015. They criticized him and his boss, Agent J. Abbott, for their handling of the case because they failed to respond to allegations by the gymnast that they had been abused. Okay, it goes on to say that the end of the article, they got rid of Langman and J. Abbott retired. But now let's look deeper into this. Indianapolis special agent in charge discusses retiring after a 30-year career. Well, good for you, J. Abbott. You had an outstanding career. Let's check into this. The top of his list is Liberty German and Abby Williams. This touches his heart. But let's look at another article. This is from the Indy Star. As you can see, they're reporting the same thing about Larry Nassar and, the investigation. The report found that senior officials in the FBI Indianapolis field office failed to respond to allegations. Specifically, Abbott. The report concluded that he made false statements to investigators and violated FBI policy and exercised extremely poor judgment under federal ethics rules. Oh my, so this FBI agent is, breaking the FBI rules? Well, I never heard of such. But let's go on. Now here is a lovely picture of James Comey. We all love him, right? And Doug Carter, and J. Abbott. Why, don't they look just all cozy up in this picture? But now, you take pictures for professional reasons with a lot of people, but that doesn't necessarily connect Doug Carter and J. Abbott, does it? Well, but then there's that interview. Take a look at this.
The FBI doesn't necessarily have jurisdiction for murder cases. This was clearly a case that was within the jurisdiction of the state police. And Doug Carter, superintendent of Indiana State Police, is a good friend and a great colleague, during that time and continues to be a great friend, He came and asked for our assistance. And one of the things I was most impressed by when I would go up to the command post, but they would usually start their day with a prayer. That was my involvement in making sure all that ran smoothly and the investigators had everything they needed. Doug Carter and his wife and my wife occasionally get together for dinner. It's at some point in our conversation, the topic comes up because I know it's still very close to Doug's thoughts, and it continues to be in mine.
Now, I don't know about you, but there is no way I would sit down to dinner with another human being who had mishandled a case like this against innocent girls, and it's not just mishandling. We're going to look into some more of it, but basically suppressed it. And then, oh, you're not going to believe this, but apparently Mr. Carter and Mr. Abbott and their wives are good friends. What kind of friends do you have up in Indiana? I'd rather sit down with a rabid dog at the table than Jay Abbott. But let's read further. DOJ refuses to charge FBI agents accused of mishandling Larry Nassar case. What? Okay, so the DOJ knows about this, but they're not going to prosecute either. Why? But now they did have some scathing words for these fine, upstanding citizens. It says that in Michael Horowitz's July report, it concluded that he and former Indianapolis field office special agent in charge, W.J. Abbott, lied to the department watchdog. The DOJ Watchdog's inquiry concluded that Abbott violated FBI policy and exercised extremely poor judgment under federal ethics rules, such as when Abbott communicated with Penny about a potential job opportunity within the U.S. Olympic Committee, while continuing to discuss the FBI's Nassar investigation with Penny. Okay, you're going to cover for him, and then you're going to ask for a job? Whoa, hold the phone. So you know that Nassar is abusing young girls, and you're not only going to cover it up, but you want to work there too? Did you just want some of that action? Now, I believe this one is from the Huffington Post, but this is a quote from one of the victims. I thought I was going to die that night because there was no way he was going to let me go. That doesn't seem like just, a misunderstanding to me. So more witnesses come forward, and it says over the 8 months that followed, Abbott and Langman did nothing. At one point, Abbott, the more senior of the two agents, met with then USA Gymnastics President Steve Penny only to discuss a potential job opportunity within the U.S. Olympic Committee. When the two agents were confronted with their misconduct in 2017 after Nassar was sentenced to life in prison for SA, hundreds of young athletes. When did you have time to do any kind of work? You were really pretty busy, weren't you? Nassar. Oh, but when the agents were confronted, they blamed others. Oh, well, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. The two agents later lied to investigators from the Inspector General's office in order to minimize errors made by the Indianapolis field office. Okay, so not only did you not open an investigation, Mr. Abbott, but you also lied to the DOJ. This FBI agent lied, and yet, he was just able to retire like normal. No consequences for these young victims. So at the end of this article, it gets even worse. Two former FBI agents told HuffPost the Bureau's misogynist and patriarchal culture are to blame for the blatant misconduct. It says, I was not surprised by the way the FBI handled Nassar. That's the FBI's culture. Wow. Really? This is who we have protecting us? This is their culture? Well, now, that would explain a lot. But now remember, Abbott was also involved in Delphi in the beginning. He and Doug Carter, they're good friends. So what does that say about you, Mr. Carter? What does it say about this whole investigation? What are you all involved in? If this guy, this FBI agent, is protecting a perpetrator of child harm, then what lengths will you go to cover something up? And what was happening in Delphi? And why did it take so long to do anything and then just come up with somebody who was never mentioned before? I don't know if Richard Allen is guilty or not, but there are people digging into his past all the time. And let me tell you something, the only thing I've ever heard about Richard Allen from his coworkers is He was a nice guy, very helpful. But yet, we can see connections with the superintendent that are very questionable, some FBI agents that are black and white, and nobody is questioning the narrative they have set. Do you see a problem here? Because I certainly do. All right, I've ranted enough, and it's going to be time to rant again about Flora. If you found any value in this or you learned anything, please hit the like button and remember to always stay silky.